The Baltic Fleet is the Russian Federation Navy's presence in the Baltic Sea. In previous historical periods, it has been part of the Navy of Imperial Russia and later the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. The fleet gained the twice Red Banner appellation during the Soviet period, indicating 2 awards of the Order of the Red Banner. It is headquartered in Kaliningrad, with its main base in Baltiysk and another base at Kronshtadt, in the Gulf of Finland. Established the 18th of May 1703, under Tsar Peter the Great, the fleet is the oldest Russian navy formation. Imperial Russia. The Imperial Russian Baltic Fleet was created during the Great Northern War at the initiative of Tsar Peter the Great, who ordered the first ships for the Baltic Fleet to be constructed at Lodenoy Pole in 1702 and 1703. The first commander was a recruited Dutch Admiral, Cornelius Cruyff, who in 1723 was succeeded by Count Fyodor Apraksin. In 1703, the main base of the fleet was established in Kronshtadt. One of the fleet's first actions was the taking of Schlüsselburg. In 1701, Peter the Great established a special school, the School of Mathematics and Navigation, situated in the Sukharev Tower in Moscow. As the territory to the west around the Gulf of Finland was acquired by Russia for a warm water port giving access for its merchantmen and the build-up of a naval force, the city of St. Petersburg was built and developed an extensive port. The fleet space was moved to St. Petersburg and in 1752 it was renamed the Naval Cadet Corps. Today it is the St. Petersburg Naval Institute, Peter the Great Naval Corps. The Baltic Fleet began to receive new vessels in 1703. The first vessel, the 24-gun 3-masted frigate Standard, is considered the flagship of the fleet and an example of a newly popular design of warship, the frigate. By 1724, the fleet boasted 141 sail warships and hundreds of oar-propelled ships. During the Great Northern War, the Baltic Fleet assisted in taking Viborg, Tallinn, Riga, the West Estonian archipelago, Helsinki, and Turku. The first claimed victories of the new Imperial Russian Navy were the Gangat in 1714 and, arguably, the Grengam in 1720. From 1715, the English Royal Navy intervened in the Baltic Sea on behalf of the German Principality of Hanover, and more or less in a tacit alliance with Russia. During the concluding stages of the war, the Russian fleet would land troops along the Swedish coast to devastate coastal settlements. However, after the death of King Charles XII, the Royal Navy would rather protect Swedish interests after a rapprochement between the Kingdom of Sweden and King George I. A Russian attempt to reach the Swedish capital of Stockholm was checked at the Battle of Stacked in 1719. The losses suffered by the Russian Navy at the Grengam in 1720, as well as the arrival of a Royal Navy squadron under Admiral John Norris, also prevented further operations of any greater scale before the war ended in 1721. During the 7 Years' War, the Russian Baltic Sea Fleet was active on the Pomeranian coast of northern Germany and Prussia, helping the infantry to take Memel in 1757 and Kolberg in 1761. The Öresund was blockaded in order to prevent the British Navy from entering the Baltic Sea. During the Russo-Swedish War, the fleet, commanded by Samuel Grieg, checked the Swedes at Högland and the Viborg. An impetuous Russian attack on the Swedish galley flotilla on 9 July 1790 at the Second Battle of Svensk Sund resulted in a disaster for the Russian Navy, who lost some 9,500 out of 14,000 men and about one-third of the flotilla. The Russian defeat in this battle effectively ended the war. During the series of Russo-Turkish wars, the fleet sailed into the Mediterranean Sea on the first and second archipelago expeditions and destroyed the Ottoman Imperial Navy at the sea. Battles of Chesma, the Dardanelles, Athos and Navarino. At about the same time, Russian Admiral Ivan Krusenstern circumnavigated the globe, while another Baltic Fleet officer, Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen, discovered the southern ice-covered continent, Antarctica. In the Crimean War, the fleet, although stymied in its operations by the absence of steamships, prevented the British and French allies from occupying Hango, Sveaborg, and St. Petersburg, despite being greatly outnumbered by the technologically superior allies. It was the Russian fleet that introduced into naval warfare such novelties as torpedo mines, invented by Boris Yakobi. Other outstanding inventors who served in the Baltic Fleet were Alexander Stepanovich Popov, Waves, Stepan Makarov, Alexei Krylov, and Alexander Mozhaysky. Age of Iron. As early as 1861, the first armor-clad ships were built for the Baltic Fleet. In 1863, during the American Civil War, most of the fleet's ocean-going ships, including the flagship Alexander Nevsky, were sent to New York City. At the same time, 10 Uragan-class monitors based on an American-designed Passaic monitor were launched. Here it was the policy of the Tsar and his government to show support for the Northern Union Army in the United States during the Civil War, observing and exchanging naval tactics and cooperation. In 1869, the fleet commissioned the first turret on a battleship in the world, Petr Veliki. Furthermore, in the second half of the 19th and early 20th century, a strong network of coastal artillery batteries was created to cover the approaches to St. Petersburg, Riga, and other important bases. The Baltic Fleet took a prominent part in the Russo-Japanese War. After the defeat of earlier Far East Fleet vessels in September 1904, a squadron under the command of Admiral Zinovy Rozhestvinsky was sent on a famous high-speed dash around South Africa, stopping in French, German and Portuguese colonial ports, Tangier in Morocco, Dakar in Senegal, Gabon, Bay d'Ostigris, Angra Pequena, and Nosy-Be, then across the Indian Ocean to Cam Bay in French Indochina, and then northward to its doomed encounter with the Japanese fleet at the Battle of Tsushima off the east coast of Korea in 1905, ending the Russo-Japanese War. The Imperial German civilian passenger Hamburg America Line provided 60 colliers to supply the Baltic Fleet on its epic journey. During its passage through the North Sea, the fleet mistook a fleet of British fishing boats for Japanese torpedo boats and opened fire, killing 3 sailors in what is known as the Dogger Bank incident. The decision to send the fleet to the Pacific was made after Russia had suffered a string of naval defeats in the East China Sea, in the Sea of Japan off the coast of China, and Korea near its Far East naval base and colony at the hands of the newly emergent Imperial Japanese Navy and Army in Manchuria. This historic naval battle broke Russian strength in East Asia and set the stage for the unsuccessful uprising in the abortive Russian Revolution of 1905, which began the decline that would see the Romanov dynasty monarchy eventually brought down with the strains of World War I in 1917. World War I. Following the catastrophic losses in battleships during the Russo-Japanese War, Russia embarked on a new naval building program which was to incorporate a number of the most modern, dreadnought-type battleships into the fleet, along with other vessels and practices adopted from the Western navies. In late 1914, 4 dreadnoughts of the Gangit class entered service with the fleet: Gangit, Poltava, Petropavlovsk, and Sevastopol. Four more powerful battle cruisers of the Borodino class were under construction, but were never completed. The fleet's main operation during World War I was the ice cruise of the Baltic Fleet, led by Admiral Alexander Zelenoy. However, on the whole, the heavy units of the fleet remained in port during the war, as the Imperial German Navy's superiority in battleships and other vessels was overwhelming, and it was difficult to communicate with Great Britain's Royal Navy forces further west in the North Sea, even though they had the Germans bottled up after the Battle of Jutland in 1916. The Imperial Russian Navy's Baltic Fleet included a submarine division that had about 30 submarines of several classes and various auxiliary vessels, the largest of which were the transport and mother ships Europa, Tosno, Khabarovsk, Oland, and Svyacheslav Nikolai. Some of the fleet's 355-ton submarines were made by Electric Boat Company of Groton, Connecticut in the United States, main supplier and builder of subs for the U.S. Navy. 5 of these AG-class submarines were prefabricated by the British Pacific Engineering and AMP Construction Company at Barnett, in Canada's British Columbia, also under contract to the Electric Boat Company. These Canadian-built subs were shipped to Russia, a fellow ally in the First World War, in December 1915. 4 of these submarines, AG-11, AG-12, AG-15 and AG-16, were scuttled in the harbor of Hanko on 3 April 1918, just before the 10,000-strong Imperial German Baltic Sea Division landed in support of the White forces in the little-known Finnish Civil War. During the war, the fleet was aided by a detachment of British Royal Navy submarines. These subs were later scuttled by the crews near the Hamaha lighthouse outside Helsinki, Finland, on 4 April 1918. Soviet era, October Revolution and Russian Civil War. During the October Revolution, the sailors of the Baltic Fleet were among the most ardent supporters of Bolsheviks, and formed an elite among Red military forces. Some ships of the fleet took part in the Russian Civil War, notably by clashing with the British Navy operating in the Baltic as part of intervention forces. Over the years, however, the relations of the Baltic Fleet sailors with the Bolshevik regime soured, and they eventually rebelled against the Soviet government in the Kronshtadt Rebellion in 1921, but were defeated, and the fleet de facto ceased to exist as an active military unit. The fleet, renamed the Red Banner.It Fleet on the 11th of January 1935, was developed further during the Soviet years, initially relying on Tsarist warships, but adding modern units built in Soviet yards from the 1930s onwards. Among the fleet's Soviet commanders were Gordy Levchenko in 1938-39 and Arseny Golovko in 1952-56. Ships and submarines commissioned to the fleet included Soviet submarine M256, a Project 615 short-range attack diesel submarine of the Soviet Navy. The fleet also acquired a large number of ground-based aircraft to form a strong naval aviation force. In September 1939, the fleet threatened the Baltic states as part of a series of military actions staged to encourage the Baltics to accept Soviet offers of mutual assistance. Subsequently, in June 1940, the fleet blockaded the Baltics in support of the Soviet invasion. Winter War. Finland, which had refused to sign a Pact of Mutual Assistance, was attacked by the USSR. The fleet played a limited role in the Winter War with Finland in 1939–1940, mostly through conducting artillery bombardments of Finnish coastal fortifications. Many fleet aircraft were involved in operations against Finland, however. However, its operations came to a close with the freezing of the Gulf of Finland during the exceptionally cold winter of that year. World War II. In the beginning of the German invasion, the Baltic Fleet had 2 battleships, 2 cruisers, 2 flotilla leaders, 19 destroyers, 48 MTBs, 65 submarines and other ships, and 656 aircraft. During the war, the fleet, commanded by the Vice Admiral Vladimir Tributes, defended the Hanko Peninsula, Tallinn, several islands in Estonian SSR, participated in the breakthrough breach of the Siege of Leningrad, etc. 137 sailors of the Baltic Fleet were awarded a title of the Hero of the Soviet Union. However, for most of the war the fleet was trapped by German and Finnish minefields in Leningrad and nearby Kronshtadt, the only bases left in Soviet hands on the Baltic coast. Another key factor was that the Finns had recaptured outer islands of the Gulf of Finland, Ttracy being the most important of them. Many of the fleet sailors fought on land as infantry during the siege. Only submarines could risk the passage into the open sea to strike at German shipping. They were particularly successful towards the end of the war, sinking ships like Wilhelm Gustloff, Stuyben and Goya, causing great loss of life. The fleet carried out the Soviet evacuation of Tallinn in late August 1941. Grouping in June 1941 Battleship Squadron, Battleship Mara, Battleship Oktябрьskaya Revolution, Destroyer Leader Leningrad, Destroyer Leader Minsk. 1st Destroyer Division, 1 Flotilla Cruiser Kirov, Destroyer Nivny, Destroyer Gordy, Destroyer Grozyashi, Destroyer Smertlivi, Destroyer Starigushi. 2nd Destroyer Division, 2 Flotilla Sergity, Silny, Stoyki Storozhevoy. 3rd Destroyer Division, 3 Flotilla Karl Marx, Volodarsky, Lenin Yakov Sverdlov, Artyom, Engels Kalinin. Guard Division, Naval Guard Squadron Burya, Sneg, Typhon, Cyclone. 2 HVIHR. Minesweeper Task Group Minelayer Marty 15 Auxiliary Minesweepers. 1st Submarine Brigade, 1 Submarine Battle Fleet S1, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8, S9, S10, S101, S102, L3, M71, M77, M78, M79, M80, M81, M83. Ex-Estonian submarine Lembit, ex-Estonian submarine Kalev, ex-Latvian submarine Ronus, ex-Latvian submarine Spider, 2nd Submarine Brigade, 2 Submarine Battle Fleet SC-309, SC-310, SC-311, SC-317, SC-318, SC-319, SC-320, SC-322, SC-323, SC-324, M90, M94, M95, M96, M97, M98, M99, M102, M103. Support vessels transport Estironoka Poliana Zvezda. Training Task Group of the Navy M72, M73, M74, M75, M76, SC-303, SC-304, A3, K-21, K-22, K-23, L1, L2, S-11, S-12, SC-405, SC-406. Training Task Group SC-301, SC-302, SC-305, SC-306, SC-307, SC-308, P-1, P-2, P-3. Cold War. During the immediate post-war period, the importance of the Red Banner Baltic Fleet increased despite the Baltic being a shallow sea with the exits easily becoming choke points by other countries. The Baltic Fleet was increased to 2 fleets. The 4th Red Banner Baltic Baltic Fleet and the 8th Red Banner.Baltic Fleet on 15 February 1946. However, during the post-Stalinist period and general reforms and downsizing in the Soviet armed forces, the two fleets of the Baltic were again reduced, with many vessels, some built before the revolution, were scrapped, and the fleet was again renamed Red Banner.Baltic Fleet on 24 December 1955. In Leopard, the Baltic Fleet's 14th Submarine Squadron, call sign Complex, was stationed with 16 submarines, as was the 6th Group of Rear Supply of Baltic Fleet, and the 81st Design Bureau and Reserve Command Center of the same force. Far from being reduced in importance, operations of the Red Banner.Baltic Fleet during the early Cold War period earned it a great amount of prestige and profile, with the second awarding of the Order of Red Banner being presented on the 7th of May 1965, when the fleet was again renamed to twice Red Banner.Baltic Fleet. Although the Soviet Union poured resources into building up the Northern Fleet and the Pacific Fleet, both of which had easy access to the open ocean, the twice Red Banner.Baltic Fleet assumed the very important position of supporting the northern flank of the European theater in case of a confrontation with NATO. This role was underrated from the Blue Water Navy's perspective, but was seen as a highly valuable one from the strategic perspective of the Soviet General Staff planning. The twice Red Banner.Baltic Fleet remained a powerful force, which in the event of war was tasked with conducting amphibious assaults against the coast of Denmark and Germany, in cooperation with Allied Polish and East German naval forces. A notable incident involving the fleet occurred in 1975 when a mutiny broke out on the frigate Storozhevoy. There were also numerous allegations by Sweden of Baltic Fleet submarines illegally penetrating its territorial waters. In October 1981, the Soviet Whiskey-class submarine U-137 ran aground in Swedish territorial waters, near the important naval base of Karlskrona, causing a serious diplomatic incident. Swedish naval vessels pulled the submarine into deeper water and permitted it to return to the Soviet fleet in early November. Commanders under the Russian Federation. The breakup of the Soviet Union deprived the fleet of key bases in Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. Leaving Kaliningrad Oblast is the fleet's only ice-free naval outlet to the Baltic Sea. However, the Kaliningrad Oblast between Poland and Lithuania is not contiguous with the rest of the national territory of the Russian Federation. In 1989, 3rd Guards Motor Rifle Division at Klaipėda was transferred to the fleet as a coastal defense division. It was disbanded on 1 September 1993. In the late 1990s, the 336th Independent Guards Naval Infantry Brigade and the remnant of the 11th Guards Army of the Baltic Military District were subordinated to a single command named the Ground and Coastal Forces of the Baltic Fleet under a Deputy Fleet Commander. The 11th Guards Army remnant included the 7th Guards Motor Rifle Regiment and the brigade that was the former 18th Guards Motor Rifle Division, plus several bases for storage of weapons and equipment, holding enough vehicles and weaponry for a division but only having a few hundred men assigned to maintain the equipment and guard the bases. Warfare listings in 2013 report that the staff of the ground and coastal defense forces of the fleet may have been disbanded in November 2007. The fleet's aviation units were equipped with a total of 23 Su-27, 26 Su-24, 14 in December 24, 26, 2 and 12 Cub 11 Mi-24 Hind, 19 Ka-28 Light Helix, 8 Ka-29 Helix assault helicopters, and 17 Mi-8 HIP transport helicopters in 2007, according to the IISS. As of 2008, the Baltic Fleet included about 75 combat ships of various types. The main bases is in Baltiysk and a second operational base is in Kronshtadt. The Leningrad Naval Base is an administrative entity that is not a discrete geographic location but comprises all of the naval institutions and facilities in the St. Petersburg area. It should be noted that the assignment of the 106th Small Missile Ship Battalion is disputed. Warfare places it under the 64th Naval Region Protection Brigade, while Home, probably working from older sources, places it under the 36th Missile Ship Brigade. Operational forces include 12th Surface Ship Division, 128th Surface Ship Brigade, Palki, Nastoichivi Bespokojni New Strashimai Yaroslav Mudry Stary Gushchi Subrazitelny Boyki Stoiki. 71st Order of the Red Star Landing Ship Brigade, Korolev Minsk Kaliningrad Alexander Shabalin Evgeny Kocheshkov Mordovia. Leningrad Naval Base, 123rd Submarine Brigade, 1 Lada-class submarine B-585 St. Petersburg, 2 Kilo-class submarines. 105th Naval Region Protection Brigade, 144th Tactical Group X, 109th ASW ships DIV 308 MPK 99 Zelenard Ulske 304 MPK 192 Urengoi 311 MPK 205 Kaznets 145th Tactical Group X 22nd Red Banner Minesweeper Battalion BT 115 PDKA 89 PDKA 910 RCHT 702 RCHT 61 RT 57 RT 248 Baltiysk Naval Base 64th Maritime Region Protection Brigade 146th Tactical Group 218 MPK 224 Alexin 232 MPK 229 Karmikia 233 MPK 227 245 MPK 105 147th 148th Tactical Groups 4 Sonya-class minesweepers. 36th Red Banner Order of Nakhimov Missile Ship Brigade 1st Guards Missile Boat Battalion, 106th Small Missile Ship Battalion, attached from the 1st of June 1994. Liven Geyser ZYB Passat, ships whose unit allocation is not precisely known. 2 Ondatra-class landing ships, 1 Zena-class landing ship, 7 Tarantula-class corvettes, 4 Pauk-class corvette, 1 Narja-class minesweeper not listed by warfare, B. 6 Leader-class minesweepers. Naval Aviation, HQ, Kaliningrad, 689th Independent Fighter Aviation Regiment, Kaliningrad Chkalovsk, operating Su-27, 4th Independent Naval Assault Aviation Regiment, Chernyakovsk Air Base, operating Su-24M, Mr. 125th Independent Helicopter Squadron, HQ at Chkalovsk, operating Mi-8, Mi-24, 396th Independent Shipborne Anti-Submarine Helicopter Squadron, Donskoy Air Base, Ka-27, PS Ka-29, 398th Independent Air Transport Squadron, HQ at Krabrovo, and 2, and 12, and 24, and 26, B-12, Mi-8, Ground and Coastal Forces of the Baltic Fleet HQ, Kaliningrad, 7th Independent Guards Motorized Rifle Regiment, 336th Independent Guards Marine Brigade, 79th Independent Guards Motor Rifle Brigade, 152nd Guards Missile Brigade, Chernyakovsk, Kaliningrad Oblast, 244th Artillery Brigade, 25th Coastal Missile Brigade, 22nd Independent Air Defense Regiment. Not clear which missiles this regiment is equipped with. However, it was announced in 2011 that 2 divisions of new S-400 ground-to-air missile systems will join the Baltic Fleet. 73rd Independent Bridge Battalion, 254th Independent Radio Battalion. Other small units